At Hashem, Parashat Matot, Parashat Masei, we're finishing off the fourth book of the Torah, the Sefer Bamidbar, which is really the fourth book. The fourth book. The fifth is Chazara. So the Sfat Emet used to say it's like Tefillin. The Chamisha Chumshei Torah is like Tefillin. You have Tefillin Shel Yad, which is one parasha. You have Tefillin Shel Rosh, which have 4 parashot. So we have Bereshit, Shemot, Vaikra, Devarim, Bamidbar, which is the events that happened. Matot Masei is already Shnat 40, at the end of the 40th year, right? And what's going to be Devarim? Tefillin Shel Yad. Everything is one thing, repeating the whole Torah all together. So basically it's wrapping up the story of 40 years in Yetziat Mitzrayim, Avraham, everything till the coming to Israel. Over here, Moshe Rabbeinu is Parashat Matot is getting a mitzvah. וידבר אדוני משה לאמור, נקום נקמת בני ישראל מאת המדיינים. אחר תאסף אל עמך. Just before leaving this world, I'm giving you a mitzvah. You have to go and revenge from the Midyanim for what they did to you, right? What did they do? They set up a marketplace, they brought the girls, the young girls, 24,000 Bachurim, young boys died. There's a machloket Rashi and the Ramban. Rashi says it was not only 24. It was 88. 88. It's 88 times 2. 88 times 2 is 160. 174,000 people besides the 24. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu told the Dayanim, right? Vayom Moshe to the Dayanim, Yirgu ish amashav. Each one of you should kill his members from his tribe, right? Doesn't say how much. So minimum is 2. So Rashi said they killed 174,000. The Ramban does not agree with Rashi, and he holds it was only 78,000. 78 times 2, so it's like 150 something, 156, right? So it's machloket, but it's an enormous number. You're talking almost 200,000 people. Besides, the Torah says 24 died, but the Rashi and the Ramban, they argue 24 is what we know, but the Rashi Shvatim, they went to kill, right? More. So now we have to take revenge, says Hashem. Achar, only after that, you'll complete your mission, te'asef el amecha. And then you can leave this world. Then you complete your mission, you took them out of Mitzrayim, you brought them to the Jordan, you cannot go, they can pass, they can go, and there. So it says over here that Moshe Rabbeinu right away, he didn't think twice. So he's telling them right away, וידבר משה אל העם לאמור, החלצו מאיתכם אנשים לצבא, ויהיו על מדיין לתת נקמת אדוני במדיין. Give me right away soldiers that will go to war against Midian to take revenge, Hashem's revenge in Midian, right? What's a chaletzu? So Rashi says, now they heard that Moshe Rabbeinu is going to die, so no one wants to go. If we don't go to war, if we delay the war, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to live longer, right? And Rashi says, look how much they love Moshe Rabbeinu. In one point in the desert, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Od me'at uskaluni. If I say one more word, they're going to stone me, right? When they wanted water, Moshe Rabbeinu said, Od me'at uskaluni. Now they heard he's about to die. If he goes to war, he dies. He doesn't go with them. No, so we don't going to go. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, Echaletzu. He's forcing them. He's like going to the tribe and says, no, give me right now 1,000 people. He goes down, give me right now 1,000 people. He forced each tribe to give him 1,000 people. They didn't want, but he forced them. Why? Afilu sheshama. Even he heard, shemitatot kluya badavar, he's going to die. Right after, he says, if Hashem gives you a mitzvah, you don't do cheshbonot. The Midrash takes this passage and he compares it to Yeshua. The same thing happened to Yeshua. He was to fight 31 kings in Israel and to bring Am Yisrael to settle in the land. He says, but right after the 31st war, he has to die. What does he do? Yeshua takes his time. So Hashem tells him, you think by taking your time you're going to gain time? So Hashem, Chad Shalom, he shortened his life in 10 years. Instead of living 120 like Moshe Rabbeinu, he lived only 110. Right? The war was not finished, but Hashem told him, I told Moshe Rabbeinu, he did it as fast as possible. I'm telling you, you're dragging, you're trying to gain time. Don't make such cheshbonot. If Hashem tells you to do something, you do. You don't make cheshbonis, right? Okay, so they took and they went to war. Elef lamate, lechol matot Israel tishlach. So over here, the Midrash says, What does it say? Elef lamate, ken, elef lamate, and then vaymasru ma'alfei Israel, elef lamate. 3 times. So there's a 2 mandama in the Midrash. First mandama says kipshuto. How many soldiers? Elef lamate. 1,000. So how many soldiers we have? We have, the Torah says clearly, 12,000 chalutze tzava. 12,000, right? 1 second, we have also Levi. We're going to see soon Levi, what's going to happen with Levi. Then, the second opinion of the Midrash, elef lamate, elef lamate, elef lamate, each tribe gave 3,000. 3,000 soldiers, right? Why 3,000? 1,000 to go to war. 1,000 to keep the kelim, to watch over the kelim, the camp. Like they have to camp. When they go to Midian, they have a camp. And in the camp, there's all kinds of things they keep there, right? 1,000 to watch the kelim, and 1,000 to pray. 1,000 chayalim, soldiers, to pray, right? And they sit there and they pray. Okay? So that's elef lamate, elef lamate, elef lamate. Okay? Okay. So someone of the Svarim is asking the following question. Why do you need the 1,000 that pray to go to war? Couldn't they sit home and pray? They can sit home. They're just praying, right? Is there enough kamina? Is there a chiluk? If they pray there at the war, at the front of the war, or they pray home? What's the ikar? I'll tell you a beautiful story. I just saw last year, there was a couple from Texas. They went to Israel to a tour. So they go in Jerusalem, they go in a restaurant. No, Jewish couple. And they go to a restaurant, they order kosher. And there's this waiter, what do you want? I'll serve you. And he was so nice to them. He bring food, he was asking them. So the lady asked them, Ech korim lecha? What's your name, land boy? I think he says Eliran or something. Oh, Eliran, what a nice name. What's your mother's name? I don't remember what he said, but let's say he said Chana. He says, Eliran ben Chana, were you in the war, the last war in Gaza? Suketan? He says, yeah, how do you know? So the lady was about to faint. She says, in Texas, what they did, in another place they did that. Group of ladies, they took names of soldiers and they divide between them. Each lady took like 5 to 10 soldiers, and they were praying every day for their safety and good, They were. And she says, I remember this name, Eliran ben Chana, used to daven for you. And now she meets him in a restaurant, in Hashamayim. So she davened for him home. She didn't have to go. She didn't have to go to the front of the war to daven for him, right? She davened home. So why did the 1,000 people have to go all the way to the front of the war? They could have davened, right? They could have davened back home. So they say a beautiful thing. They say, we all know that at the end of the day, the Jewish soldiers are going to win the war, right? But coming back from war, what are they going to say? Kochi ve'otzem yadi asa li tachayil hazeh. You know why? Because we're strong. We had good weapons. We're there. So Hashem is telling you, you know why you gained? You won. Because there was right there next to you a soldier davening for you. He was saying Tehillim. He was learning for you Atzlacha. So when they came back, right away they saw the people over there. They couldn't say Kochi ve'otzem yadi. They understood there was somebody davening for them. So sometimes in life, you think, I did it. Yeah, Hashem wants to show you right away. Don't think. It's not you. There's another cause why you succeeded or why this happened. So I want to show you something beautiful. The Arizal says. Usually we don't say Arizal, but it happens to be. I don't know why, because since you came to Kollel, I don't know why it happens, but okay, there's a reason. There's a reason for everything. The Arizal says something beautiful. We see in this week's parasha, at the end of the Parachat Masei, 2 tribes come to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they say, Moshe Rabbeinu, listen, we have something to ask you. What's the thing? Umikne Rav haya livnei Gad ubnei Reuven. They had a lot of flocks. They had sheep, they had goats, so many. And they see the region of Sichon ve'Og, the region just conquered, which is the east of the Jordan, in such a big land. And so much beautiful mountains and everything. They can graze their animals over there. So they said, please, al ta'avirenu ta'Yarden. Let us stay over here and let us not cross the Jordan. And Moshe again gets upset. What? תרבות אנשים חטאים, you're repeating the same mistake your fathers did. They also said, the Meraglim also said we should not go. And look what happened. Everybody followed them and they stayed 40 years. And you want to do the same thing. Now we're already by the border of the Jordan. We're about to cross. And you coming with this, you square. He gets very upset. And he says, no, Chas v'shalom, Moshe Rabbeinu, Mechila. We didn't mean that. You know what? We're going to show that we are loyal. We're going to go to war with you. We're going to go with war. Just let our kids and wives stay over here, and we're going to go with you. Right? We're going to go with you. So then, the Mefarshim, it's not Nagea so much, but it's also interesting to point out, the Mefarshim point out a few things. First of all, V'emru bnei Gad u'bnei Reuven. Who is older? Reuven. So it should have been bnei Reuven, bnei Gad, Bechor. You have to give kavod. Tell la Bechor ledaber. Let the Bechor speak. Why you going at your brother? Okay? First. Second of all, Di Ben Ezra says, we don't find once they say Shem Hashem. Nachnu v'chalutzim, we're going to stay here. Okay? Moshe Rabbeinu, if you look at the parasha, if you look carefully in the Pesukim, Moshe Rabbeinu repeats exactly what they said, but every time he puts Shem Hashem in the pasuk. You're going to see carefully. If you look carefully, the Kli Akar points it out. They never mention Shem Hashem, Bezrat Hashem, Yimirtze Hashem, Yazor Hashem, we're going to go to war, come back. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, third of all, says the Kli Akar, look what they say. They say, we leave our flocks, we leave our wife and children, we'll build fences for the flocks all over, right, to protect the flocks, and we'll build houses for our wife and children. What does Moshe Rabbeinu do? He takes the same words and he says, no, you can come with us? First build houses for your wife and children, and then you build the fence to protect your flocks. Who's more important, the flock or the wife and children? First you protect your wife and children, you build a house for them, and then you protect the flocks, right? So everything they said was like everything opposite. Okay. At the end of the day, Moshe Rabbeinu is maskim. He agrees. You know what? Yes, you can stay, you can come with us. They even offer something that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't ask. Moshe Rabbeinu asked, you come with us to war. This says, Adit Nachel Achenu. What did Nachel Rashi says? Rashi says, till you settle. So Rashi says, they stayed 7 extra years that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't ask from them. The war in Israel took 7 years till they won the Knaani, Vachiti, V'Amori, V'Prizi. It was 7 years. But then he had to build the country. They could have gone back. They promised Moshe Rabbeinu, Adit Nachel Achinu, till they build their houses, till they settle down, we're going to stay with them to help them build the country. So imagine, if you make a cheshbon pashut, right? They were there 14 years. 7 years of war and 7 years of settling. 14 years. You know what it means? If the guy left his wife pregnant, if one of the soldiers of Bnei Gad, Bnei Reuven, left his wife pregnant, he didn't see the bar mitzvah of his son. He was 14 years in Eretz Israel. When his son had the bar mitzvah, the son did bar mitzvah himself.
Was that interchange?
Huh?
They didn't interchange?
No. They stayed the whole time.
Can't go home.
They can't go home. They promise no chagim. They think it's not the yeshiva. There's no ben azmanim over here. They stayed 14.
But Shlomo Amelech did it. What do you mean?
What do you mean Shlomo Amelech?
Every 2 months they were changing.
That's because they were building Bet HaMikdash. That's something else. Over here they went to war. There's no games. You cannot go back. You have to stay in the front of the war. Every second day they have a milchama. There's 31 kings over there. It's danger.
The ones who didn't go to war. Everyone went to war. Every single one.
Every one of them went to war because Rashi says they were the giborim. They were very strong men.
Who protected them?
Huh? The houses. They built houses and that's it. They protected themselves. They fortified the cities and they protected themselves.
20 and up, probably.
Huh?
Only 20 and up, probably.
Yeah. Younger ones stayed home.
Didn't we see from them it's Naika food?
Huh? Yes, there's a lot of things you learn from this parasha. We were saying just what's nogea im vo im lo tchum. Bekitzur, this is we see that. Now, interesting thing. We all know when Moshe Rabbeinu gave the land, he gave it the land of Sichon and Og. He gave it to Reuven, to Gad, Valachatzi Shevet HaMenashe. Where does this come from? We don't see in the parasha Menashe came. Why Chatzi Shevet HaMenashe? So there's so many commentaries. If you look Shabbat over the commentaries, you see where does the Chatzi Shevet HaMenashe come in? One of the commentaries said that Midrash says, Menashe ata garamta lashvatim likroa bigdehem. You caused the Shvatim to tear their clothes So you're going to be torn into two. Where? When Yosef told Menashe, put the gavia, put my cup into the Amtachat HaKatan, Binyamin, right? And then when it says, Ma pitom, we stole it, Ma pitom, check, you can check our bags. They check their bags, and they come to Binyamin, Vayimatzeh gavia b'Amtachat Binyamin, Vayikreu bigdeim. Who put the gavia? Menashe. So Hashem told them, I'm going to tear your shevet to two. Half is going to go to Israel, half is going to stay chutz la'aretz. This is the Midrash. Okay, this is the Midrash. Then they say Menashe were Bnei Torah, and Moshe was scared for Bnei Gad and Reuven. You see already they're worried about their flocks, about it. They're more worried about their business, about their material, more than their wives and children. It says them Misukan. So I need to leave them rabbis, I need to leave them Rabbanim, Chachamim. So he took Shevet Menashe, Shayu Gdolim Batorah, and he left it with them, right? He couldn't take Bnei Issachar, because Bnei Issachar needed La'abir et Hashanim, to make Ibor HaChodesh, so he couldn't take Issachar. So he took Menashe, he divided him into two. He says, please take care of your brothers spiritually. Okay? But then comes the Arizal with a beautiful thing. In this week's parasha, we see, that's what we see. They come to ask. They don't want to go to Israel. It's like somebody tells you, no, I'm never going to live in Israel. Yeah, I know Israelis, they're tempered. Guys, that's what they tell you. Okay? But you should know something. If you don't go to Israel, it's not because you don't want, because Hashem doesn't want. Says the Arizal, those 2.5 Shevatim, Hashem did not want them to go to Israel. They're coming to ask, they don't want to go into Israel. But Be'emet, it's not them, it's Hashem. And look what he says. Reuven, why Reuven should not go to Israel? Because when Yaakov was with Leah, he was thinking about Rachel. So he says, זה לא היה pure, 100%. אפילו שלאה הייתה 100% עם שמיים, right? The Ramban says, he's thinking about Rachel, another wife. So the Ramban said everything depends on Leah. But sof kol sof, by the level of Yaakov Avinu, he was thinking about Rachel.
First night.
Right? And then came Leah, right? And Reuven, right. Exactly. So he says, because it was not done the proper way, the 100% way, Hashem says, I cannot bring into Israel Shevet Reuven. Hashem said. Wow. So Reuven is coming to ask, but Hashem is saying, says the Arizal, you're not going to Israel. So now you're going to come say, okay, say whatever you want. I don't want you to go to Israel. And what happened to God? Why God? God, he said, look, God is Ben HaShefachot, nachon? God is Ben HaShefachot. He's the son of Zilpah, nachon? If you look just before God was born, what happened? Vatikach Rachel took Bilhah, and she asked Yaakov, could you please marry my shifcha? Ulai bane gam anochi mimena. Maybe thanks to that I'm bringing my shifcha to you, I'll have a merit and a zchut that I'm going to have my own child, if Hashem sees that I'm giving my shifcha. So Yaakov says, Beseder, okay, I agree. Okay? So he gave her, she gave him Bilhah, right? And then she had Naphtali and how do you call it? Dan and Naphtali, nachon? Comes Leah, says the Arizal, and she takes her shifcha Zilpah, and she says, Boy Leah, take her. Hashem says, why don't you ask him like Rachel? Rachel asked him permission. You forcing your husband? Okay, he doesn't want to fight with you at Shlom Bayit, so you forced your husband to be with you. Maybe he doesn't. He has Baruch Hashem. He has children. He has 6 children from you. He has 2 children from the shifcha. Maybe he doesn't want to have children. You're forcing your husband. You forced your husband. Keneged retzoino. So Hashem says, God who is born out of this relationship, lo nichnas liIsrael, doesn't go into Israel.
Maybe it's also moneh shvatim from Rachel by taking Leah's things, moneh more shvatim.
More shvatim? Could be. We see later the cheshbon was she had Dinah, it was a boy, she turned. He says because she forced her husband. V'ma kara Menashe? Why Shevet Menashe? Beautiful thing he says. Menashe is the son of Yosef, nachon? Yosef married Asenat. Asenat is the daughter of Dinah. Dinah, unfortunately, was abused by Shechem ben Hamor. So it comes out Asenat has 2 halves in her. She has the Jewish. What?
Ish's Potiphar wasn't her mother?
No. Eshes Potiphar tried to start up with Joseph. But who
Potiphar
that?
was his shver. His
Yeah.
father-in-law was Potiphar.
But who? But they adopted. Asnat was adopted. For sure. Asnat is Jewish. That's the big chiddush. Oh, chas v'shalom. No. Asnat was completely Jewish because Asnat was thrown away from the family because she was born from Shechem and Dinah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's why he married her, because Yaakov gave her a plate of gold. Right? It says Ale Shur.
Ken, these are cuts.
Bediuk. And then where did she get it? She got it from Yaakov. Yaakov sent her to Egypt. Exactly, because Dinah was embarrassed with her. The family was embarrassed because of she was abused. So that's why they asked her to leave the house. So she was the only Jewish girl in Mitzrayim, and Yosef was the only Jewish boy.
Lived in Mitzrayim and married Potiphar?
No, she was adopted by Potiphar.
Adopted by Potiphar.
Okay?
Potiphar is a...
Osnat, Asenat,
What's
right?
the nikuda of the issue with Yaakov, Rachel, Leah, and that would, why that has anything shaykhut to going into Israel?
Because Hashem says, I'm bringing to Israel only the pure lineage. Like Ezra Sofer, the Gemara in Elef Kiddushim said, Ezra Sofer birer et hasolet nikia. He took pure semolina, right? He wanted to bring only the pure Jewish people. They stayed pure in Bavel, because in Bavel they married intermarriage goyim. So there was a lot of intermarriage. Out of the thousands there was there, Ezra Sofer is coming with 40,000 people. He says, I'm bringing into Israel just pure Jewish people, right? I don't want to have any she'elot, any svekot, right? Miu Yehudi, mi lo Yehudi. I don't want to get into the shilas and this politics, I'm bringing pure people. So he went and it took him months of research. Who is your father? Who is your grandma? Only pure people I'm bringing to Israel. So alachat kama v'kama, when you're coming to settle in Israel for the first time, Ashvatim HaKedoshim, Hashem says only Kedoshim. Only Kedoshim. So Menashe had half Jewish part, Dinah, and half Shechem. So Hashem says I have to divide it into half, and only the Jewish part is coming into Israel. The other Jewish stays in, the other part stays in Chutz La'aretz. So that's what the Arizal says. So what do we see over here? They came with a ta'ana. They came, we don't want to go into Israel. We have a lot of things to take care of. They came with a kilo request, and their thinking is them, huh?
Ephraim should go. It should be half Menashe stays and Ephraim goes. The other.
So I was thinking about. You can say it's the same thing like the Zohar says about Avraham Avinu. He had I don't know. We don't know how to explain, but it's like impurities from the past, from his father. So he had to add Ishmael first, and then Yitzchak. So all his impurities went to Ishmael, and Yitzchak came pure. But still, there was left something. So Yitzchak, Zoma, yeah. So it's called impurities, right? And spiritual impurities. And Yitzchak had some left, so he had to have two babies, Esav and Yaakov. So the impurity went to Esav, and Yaakov Ishtam.
The impurity goes to the first one.
Wasn't impurities to Rivka?
So the Rabbi Shimon Yochai says the impurities of the Avot, they were purified. Avraham Yitzchak still didn't get Yaakov Ishtam. Means complete.
Also, they were all Bechorim.
Huh?
All three of them were Bechorim.
Who?
Got to stay outside, and I sure did go in.
God.
Yeah, Bechol Imam.
Menashe.
No.
Yeah.
He was also
So Menashe was right. Menashe was first. So it comes out when Ephraim was born, he was clean already.
Oh, Menashe's younger than Ephraim.
Menashe Ephraim.
They were
Oh,
all
Menashe
there.
and Ephraim. Yeah.
We say Erev Shabbat, we say Yeshimcha Elohim Ephraim. Why? Rashi says because Ephraim was the Ben Torah. He was studying with his grandfather Yaakov. Menashe helped father the political thing, right? So we say no. He should be an Ephraim. Yeshimcha Elohim Ephraim Menashe. That's what Yosef is saying. Lo avi, lo chen avi. Ze abechor. Menashe is the bechor. Why is he saying a bracha to Ephraim? Yadati b'nei, I know. But he's going to be Yoshua Yetzeh Mimeno. Big Tamid Chacham is going to come out of him.
But
he would send Ephraim also. They will not listen to him. Since Reuben is a Bechor, God is Bechor, you need a Bechor that they're gonna put their head down.
But that's good. But if Moshe Rabbeinu sends them, they would listen to him.
No.
Sof kol sof, the idea is in this thing, the idea is that sometimes in life we think we know, we want, we have to know that Hakol met Hashem, right? Hakol met Hashem. They think they won the war. Hashem is telling you, no, just turn around. Yesh po chayalim, there's po tzaddikim, they pray for you. So we shouldn't take credit for ourselves. Never think we take credit. There's always somebody praying for us. There's always something there's behind the scenes that we don't know, right? So we always ask Hashem. David HaMelech says one thing: Gal enai ve'abita niflaot mitoratecha. Hashem, open my eyes. I want to see the real reason. What's the real reason I don't do that? What's the real reason I succeeded? What's the real reason that this happened, right? We just see Adam yireh la'enaim, v'Hashem yireh la'levav. Hashem sees deeper, right? So to tell you about Hashem, that in life you have to look deep into things, right? You think, why this happened? Well, there is reasons for everything, right? So if in Bashvatim HaKadoshim, if those holy, right, Shvatim, we say, Shiftaya, Edut Israel, we pray b'zchutam. The Bani Ishrai says when you pray, when you do the Amidah, and you say, "Umevi Goel livnei v'nehem shitpalel b'zchut hashvatim." We say, "Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak v'Yaakov." You mentioned the zchut avot, but when you say, "Umevi Goel livnei v'nehem," we are the son of their children of the Shevatim. So we have to mechaver hashvatim shebizchutam nigael. Let Hashem, zchutam yagen alenu. Let Hashem let us know, see the right and the truth. Amen.
Right, was it